Hello my friends, I was planning on this time slot going to a playthrough of the missions of UED First Light because that was slated for release, but it got delayed by a week, which means that I was not prepared with anything in the backup. So we're going to do a couple more AMA questions. If you have any questions, jump into the Google Forms link in the description below and you can fill them out and maybe you'll get into another episode that happens later on when something else gets delayed. How do you feel about Vtubers? They kind of came out of left field for me. I did not really know about them until they were a really big thing, but as far as I'm concerned, the idea behind it is fine. They're not really my thing, and I honestly don't know a whole lot about them, but there's obviously a huge lot of people out there that think the content is cool and they enjoy it. In the end, live streaming and YouTube and all that kind of stuff is always a performance. Sometimes a performer wants to give off chill vibes. Sometimes they want to bring their personalities to the energetic 120%. And sometimes people are now anime girls. When you look at it from that perspective, it's just a natural progression of the format. Though I am always a little bit convinced that behind every anime girl is a 45-year-old man with a voice changer, so yeah. Will the custom campaign manager be able to support campaigns that aren't remixes of the main game? Yeah, actually. Stuff like the Hyperion, Leviathan, and Spear of Adun are actually just loaded map files that are played, kind of. It's weird. But that means that a modder who wants to go all out has the ability to shift all of that stuff as well. And I know for a fact that the missions inside of the campaign manager do not have to be the same missions as in Wings of Liberty, they just have to have the same names as those missions. In fact, there's a project right now that is a quote-unquote randomizer that randomizes what planet you go to in what order, and unlocks stuff like that. I don't really entirely know how it works, but people are getting more and more creative with the custom campaign manager stuff now that they're getting a look at it. The reason people make these stuff that as remixes of the main games is because it's much easier to work with the infrastructure that Blizzard has already created. A lot of the things you would have to do to make fully custom campaigns in the manager, it's going to be time intensive and people haven't done it yet, so we don't know what's easy, we don't know what's hard. But I would not be surprised to see somebody unveil some crazy content they'd been working on for a long time that just completely blows all of us away. And if they do, oh, that would be so cool. I'd be all for it. Is there going to be a Legacy of the Meme for Wings of Liberty or Heart of the Swarm? Yes, absolutely. But I don't want to wear out the welcome of any campaign type too quickly. Stuff like Nightmare is a ton of fun, but you don't want it to all be Nightmare all the time. Real Scale is fun, but by the time you're done with a campaign, it's like, okay, we've done it for a bit. You got to give things a break. You got to rotate them. So it'll probably be a bit like half a year before the next Wings of Memes or whatever, Memes of Liberty, will come out, simply in order to give Legacy of the Meme a bit of breathing room, give people some time to come up with new ideas now that they've seen the format, they understand better for their suggestions, and give the people polling and the modder a little bit more time to build stuff. And then there's one final part that it is really, really bad to have a modder working on the same project repeatedly. They tend to get very burnt out if you don't let them kind of go free range and work on what they want. And the worst possible thing right now would to have any of these modders, they just make this incredible stuff, get like really bored with it because they have to remake the same thing in a different campaign over and over. Are you right or left-handed? I am super right-handed. I can barely function with my left hand except for doing like typing on a keyboard. What's your least favorite StarCraft 2 mission and why? This one shouldn't be a big surprise. It is Last Stand. It is the mission on Shakuros in Legacy of the Void where you have to build a bunch of photon cannons and defend for a really long time. It got revamped into the Temple Defense mission for co-op, and I think the Temple version in co-op is a lot better. I really don't like the mission because A, it's very monotonous on how you have to play it. The bonus objective is really, really, really boring to get. And then the mastery achievement on top of that is just even more boring and lazy. It feels like a mission they did not put a whole lot of effort into, and they wanted to be like, hey bro, trust me, it's going to be super epic. This is amazingly cool. But they didn't put the effort to make it into something cool like Salvation or like All In. I also don't like it because it's more in the middle of a run, and I tend to just, the wind goes out of my sails then. A lot of the time if I'm doing like some challenge or something, then when I hop into a thing, I can do the first two missions very quickly. In Wings of Liberty, for example, then I get to 0 hour and it's the same thing. You got to wait around for a bit. But often that's at the beginning of a stream and I can just like chat with people, see how everyone's doing, all that kind of stuff. It gives time for people to get into the stream and all that kind of stuff. Not for Last Stand. Everyone's there already. We're all bored. And it lasts longer. I hate that mission. What is the mass of the sun? All right, this is a fairly difficult one. It's always historically been tough to measure the mass of the sun. And I think with a little bit of Googling, I figured it out. It says that the sun is about 1/20th the mass of Rigel. And that's really useful because we know that Rigel is a character in Nova Covertops who is about the size of a normal human. However, he does have 2 robot arms. So I'm going to say that he's probably about 200 pounds. And that makes it very easy because then we can just take what is 1/20th of 200. The sun is about 10 pounds. Done. Easy. Oh wait, pounds is weight and it's not mass. So we have to convert that to kilograms. So it is about 4.5 kilos. Yeah, 4.5 kilos. I want to make a YouTube video that is like yours, but I have no idea how to tackle the editing process. What's your process for editing videos? I will preface this with the fact that I made up everything that I did with trial and error. It's not like I have some written down formula that is perfect or something. I just tried things and came out with what worked. So everything that I have to say might not be ideal or correct, but it does make videos. Generally, I break things down mission by mission, or if I'm doing like a video essay, chapter by chapter. So let's look at the process of turning the VOD footage of one mission into an edited video piece. First is a rough draft of the script where you skip through the VODs and write down bullet points of what you want to say, and write down timestamps of the relevant footage. Once the bullet points are done, turn each of the points into full sentences or paragraphs. After that, give it a rough recording and listen through it. Audacity, in my opinion, is the best program for recording because it's free, it's powerful, it's easy to use, even professionals use it. After you've listened to it, then you can remove things such as repetitive wording, and then re-record it, cut down some of the downtime in the audio, and once you have something that you are happy with, save it. Now that you have a saved copy, load it up and run it through a compressor and a limiter. You're going to have to experiment on these settings for yourself to figure out what works for you, but these make it so that the quiet parts are not as quiet and the loud parts are not as loud. It means that you don't get that cinematic effect where in movies the people are like basically whispering and then the music is blaring really loud and you can't hear what's going on and it's just infuriating and I don't know why they do it. Yeah, you don't want to do that on YouTube because we have quality standards here. After you're happy with your audio and you don't think you can take any more out of it, use a tool like Lossless Cut to cut apart your videos into the clips you want, and then slot them in on top of what you're talking about. The timestamps that you got before during the rough draft and bullet point process are really helpful for grabbing stuff right now. Generally, you don't want a single shot to linger. 5 to 15 seconds on a single event is pretty good, and transition shots should be at the ends of sentences and paragraphs because it makes things flow nicer. Any abrupt visual change mid-sentence is pretty disorienting. I also tend to speed up footage between 10 and 20%. Games that are faster like StarCraft 2 are done by about 10%, and games like Warcraft 3 that are slower more like 20%. But that speed up can be varied a little bit in order to fit a clip inside of a voice line. Sometimes 118% is perfect to show off something exactly in as long as it takes you to describe it. Just don't do it too much, otherwise it's very obvious. Then you add in the music. I don't know how important the music is, but I always feel very self-conscious when it doesn't exist, so I throw it in. I like to run mine through a compressor in Audacity in order to make the whole audio effect, the loud and the soft, once again, not be a problem. And then you want to make sure the music is not too loud relative to your voice. I generally have mine 28 decibels quieter than my voiceover, but that's up to however you feel. It's a decent starting place to figure out what works for you. And then at that point, it's just add whatever you want. If you want to put infographics in, you can toss those on top. If you want to put in motion tracking stuff, then good luck. It's a complete pain in the butt and not worth it, which is why I continue to do it to this day. But you have a completed video with audio and video and music. What more could people ask for? What was your favorite discovery while doing a challenge run? By far and away, my favorite discovery was the trigger break in Legacy of the Void, where we could turn off the AI for any mission as long as we had the ultimate ability. That one is so absolutely game-breakingly insane that it changed the speed runs on both difficulties. It changed everything to the point where I can't use it in most runs because it's so insanely overpowered, and it made no production Legacy of the Void possible. Honestly, it is the biggest glitch in StarCraft, and I'm so, like, the fact that I'm the one that found it is really special to me. Normally it's someone else finding something crazy like that or a group of people working together to do it, but this one was just me experimenting around on Salvation, trying to find anything to make it work, and stumbling upon this really weird bug. Alright, that is going to be it for now. I apologize guys, I'm going to try to get a series going until UED First Light comes out. I need to figure out when it comes out and then schedule a series so it's long enough, you know, it's going to be a thing, but hopefully by tomorrow at this timestamp, I will have a full thing going. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you tomorrow. Peace.